We are here, the inspectors come and been, and the cement foundation has dried. In this episode, you're going to be seeing the walls being built. So now this is above the damp proof layer. I'm also going to explain what this metal thing is, as well as give you a quick view of how quickly things progress after the base layer has gone down. Base layer being the damp proof course, digging out the trenches, doing the damp course, insulation, all these little steps we had to do to get up to this point, and then we started building the actual walls when you start seeing the most amount of impact. So this is before things commence, and you can see here that this is the day after the cement was poured. It's still a little bit, see how it leaves a little bit of a mark, it's not completely dry. So 24 hours after they poured the cement, it wasn't completely dry. Luckily they came on a Wednesday. Thursday the builders left it to dry, and then Friday they don't work anyway. So that was a good time scale basically, because we gave 2 days for this concrete to dry. You see how it leaves little marks, so it's not completely dry. This is the day after, so this is the Friday, and Friday it was actually solid. So you can hear the ground was actually solid for that Friday, which meant when they come today, they started mixing straight away. They started getting the sand in, and the plan was to begin building the walls. So remember, this is going to be a double layer wall, which means outside the bricks need to match the house. This is like a stipulation in the the architect's thing, like walls to match and the roof to match. So it'll be a tile slate roof and brick wall color matching the existing bricks. So they started by the corners, which was interesting. So they measured out and they put corners in every corner, and then they put like lines to make sure it's level. At this point I double made sure they knew where doors were going, so we left that space for the door frame and the footstep, what do you call it, the lintel, is it that where it goes? But yeah, once they started mixing the muck, it basically, this day actually he was alone. So normally they have 2 workers, but the worker wasn't feeling well, so only 1 worker came, which meant the worker was mixing the cement. The worker was also bringing the bricks to use for the walls, which basically just made things take a bit longer. If 2 workers were here today, it's a 2-person job basically. The 1 person mixes it, keeps topping up the cement mix for him, the muck, and brings in bricks, because you'd be surprised how quickly they start getting through bricks when they start building the wall. I think something like 32 bricks, if I remember correctly. The long length is about 32 bricks it takes, and 16 bricks wide. So you'll see these quickly kind of get used up. So with the bricks now, you can see this is the other corner that he's come to, and they cement down the corner bricks and make sure they're fully plumb. So it's interesting to see this. He also was picking out particular bricks, like, you know, the best face bricks for the certain spots to match the pattern of the wall. And the bricks also have a front and back, which I didn't really think about, but you'll notice there's a little divot in the back which has to face inside, so the wall outside looks nice. So he laid each brick down, put a layer of muck down, and some more like a pyramid type shape, so that way he knew when the wall gets built he can keep that level along the whole entire wall. So then, I don't know what the official terms are, but you know, where the ups and downs of the bricks are, they're equal in terms of the depth of the mortar. So remember, there's already damp course that happened. That was the previous episodes before they laid the cement. So this brick and mortar is going on top of that plastic layer, which basically means that the damp won't travel up the wall and into the upper bricks. The newer bricks that are made these days are better anyway at retention at not retaining moisture, like not sucking up, whereas the olden day bricks used to suck up water and like act like a bit of a sponge. But you'll see it is a long line of the mix is the consistency of like a cake batter mix when you put it on top of cakes, where they kind of if you put a peak in it, it remains. And then the bricks are being laid into this mortar, and the bricks have holes in them, which is quite interesting because the cement goes into the holes, which makes it like a more firm stance. So you'll see once he got going, as long as he had the bricks and the muck with him, he was able to do them quite quickly. But you'll notice as things get finished, he'll have to go and then get the bricks. So ideally, if there was 2 of them here today, it would have been better, because we would have been able to work more consistently and like smoothly. You'll see that if he was working, somebody else could have given him the muck and the sand and just the little things. So now he has to go and get more bricks, and all this little process takes a little bit more longer if there's 1 person. So keeping this into mind, because if you have builders, they will have days where they're not well or someone can't come, and depending on who's here, who helps. He had the other gaffer come in and he kind of stayed for a little bit but the brickie is a brickie. One thing that is interesting is some brickies will only do bricks. They won't touch any other odd jobs. So if you have someone who's able to adapt, like for example in this case he was doing everything himself, but some brickies would be like, actually, you know what, I don't want to help it today, I'm not going to come, I'm going to come tomorrow. So there are little things like this which you need to keep in mind and see what happens. But his boss kind of came around and gave him the bricks and laid them out, so at least he gave some type of help. So overall, it's kind of getting to a point now where we're slowly seeing a lot more progress. There will be elements of the build where it takes a lot of time. We're basically at like just over 1 week worth of actual work here. And all we've really done, if you were to look at this from like a non-building perspective, they've dug a massive hole, they've refilled up the hole. That's like as simple as it gets when you look at it in this situation. But what's happened is during this process, they've dug out the hole, they've made foundations which are good for the new wall to be put in. They've used cement to create a bed of mortar below the blocks. They've put breeze blocks down, which is below ground level. They've put insulation in the floor. They've put a damp-proof membrane. So all these little things take time. And then Spectre comes twice as well, because he checks how big the trench is, and then he checks the damp-proof. And after that, you start seeing more progression because the builders can just get on with it now until the walls are built and the ceiling roof is being put in. The next inspection is going to be for drainage, which is basically all the rainwater, how it gets drained, and the roof. So now we should be able to have a good push of work to get us roofed up, basically. So if you're in this process and you're thinking about builders and you're not quite sure what's going on, I have put together a blog article to support this series of episodes. This is basically like a diary of our extension, and I wanted to just document as much as possible. So you'll see I've got a little time-lapse camera in the corner, and then I take little clips with my mobile phone just to show you what's going on. So there's nothing really intensive here. It would get more interesting if you had a more intensive build, like with steels, or you're breaking down home walls. But with my extension, is basically outside. It's like not detached, but it's a separate entrance to the existing house, so it doesn't affect the house in any way. So it's not a massive rush to worry about, like, you know, weather and stuff, because the house is still fine in terms of how it stands. So this tiny home will be separate into 2 sections. One will be like a small shower room slash utility room, and the main area, I'm thinking of calling it a small home now. I've seen another episode on YouTube where someone's made 100 square foot tiny home. Ours is a little bit bigger. We're lucky that we will end up with about 160 square foot, which is quite a usable space. You could put an easy couple of units for a kitchen, small kitchen unit in there for like a microwave, a kettle, and a basic cooking works, as well as you've got space for like a double bed or a couple of sofas or a dining table or a couple of workstations for working on, like computer desk style, full-size desks. So all of this, I haven't decided the internal layouts. I have got an app which I've been using to just play about with to see how I want to lay out the inside. And like I mentioned in the resources section of this article, you'll see like a link. If you click on that, it'll give you all these things that I'm using, all the questions I had in my mind, frequently asked questions about building. Do you need an architect? Do you need builders? Can you do this to yourself? How much does it cost? All these little things I've broken down in the article to help you if you're thinking about doing this. And it helps if you're in the UK, because I'm basically going to explain it in pounds, which is UK money. I might give you an overall idea of dollars. So if you're in America or somewhere, like, you may not build in the same type of regulations, because we have brick walls, double layered. I think in America they do timber frames and things, so it's slightly different, and your inspection process is probably different as well. Whereas here we have like a robust process of making sure basically everything that's going on is in line with the council being able to make lots of money from you, because you have to fill out applications and stuff. In the olden days, the foundations didn't used to be as deep, the walls didn't need to be as thick, but as time passes, things are progressing. So the reason behind a lot of this is, in the olden days, you'll get like moss and damp walls, but you don't really meant to get that with this new thing. So what these metal ties are used for are, they hold the external wall to the internal wall. So if you have 2 walls with a gap, you'll see they're lined up here, you can see the metal. They actually hold the 2 walls together, so it gives you that consistent space and extra support between each of the walls, so they don't basically wobble about. So yeah, it's very interesting to see they have to put that every so often. And you can see he was going around and did like 3 layers of bricks all the way around. He also had to tie in the wall, the new wall being built, to the existing wall, which is interesting. So you had to buy this, I think they call it crocodiles or clips or something. So it's like I showed you these in early episodes. They screw this to the wall that's being attached to, and has a little bracket that slides out and holds the bricks. When you work up it, it basically keeps the wall firmly against your current house. If you're building a detached one, you don't use these, but because our extension is joining onto our existing house, they had to use these, and that helped because it kept all the walls straight and obviously not wobbling or falling over. So they were just drilled to the wall with like plugs and held in place, and then as you go up the wall and build bricks, the little clips just clip out and you basically mortar it into the brick under and above the bricks. So these were quite interesting to see being done. And the back wall there will be half engineer brick and half red brick, just to give it some extra strength, because it will be a taller wall in the back and it will be leaning towards this side, so similar to the old building. And the same thing here, the wall will be tied into the existing wall here, so the same process applies. That little bracket comes down, drill in, and then put a plug in and hold that in place while that works. And these are in line with the specifications for required works when you're joining walls together. So overall, for this lower section, he was able to use like one full pallet of bricks, and these are the bricks we're using. He had some left over, and a lot of the equipment's being used up now, so a lot of the sand, the cement and the bricks are being used. So there will be more bricks that will be coming. There'll probably be another pallet of bricks, which will bring us up to about 2,500 bricks, predicting about 3,000 bricks in total. That's just the bricks. Remember, we have got thermalite blocks that will go in the inside layer, and I measured up, we're basically losing 1 foot on each side, so that's 2 foot for the walls, the insulation and the gap. So we're basically losing 2 foot, which is basically that little extra bit that we've gone out is what we're losing. We'll have a nice room which will be in the region of 21.5 foot long and about 8.5 to 9 foot wide, which brings us around the region of 100 square foot, which is not too bad. Because I saw the other video on YouTube, I might link to it somewhere so you can see it, and it's 100 square foot. And he was able to do some fancy stuff with that. He wasn't able to fit like a full sofa in there or anything, but he had a little kitchen, a little shower room and a little office room. So I think with this extra 60 square foot that we've got, we'll be able to put like a bit more spacing in there. So it'll be interesting to see the layout and how this progresses. But you'll see while he was working on the walls, he was going around and then pointing the outside with like this little tool just to make sure the cement's nice and pushed into the gaps. So overall the process is coming along nicely, and I think the next few bits we'll be looking at will be things like the wall being built up to a higher length, and also the internal thermalite blocks will need to be put down as well. So that'll be future episodes. I will give you a sneak peek of the next episode as well, so you know what's going to be going on next. Today he was alone, but the next day he got a helper with him, which meant he was able to do a lot more work and start laying the actual bricks themselves. So you'll see he laid engineering bricks in the back wall here, and then started cleaning up for the day. And the second day is when things really progress. So coming up in the next episode, you will see more progression. You'll kind of be a bit shocked how quickly things can go once the walls start getting built. So the overall build of the wall is coming along nicely. There was a couple of bricks laid, the wall gap for the door entry was left, and then they continued to build the wall higher and higher, getting up the bricks that were required. So once you get helpers in, the bricks being laid, you'll see here he was able to leave, more or less in the morning, get up to a waist level, and he had the helper coming along as well. So all those in the next episode you'll see, and stay tuned. You'll see the next episode on screen right now. So if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to see the next episode, and all the information is in the description for a link to the article which you can get more details about frequently asked questions if you're thinking about your extension yourself. See you on the next episode.